Welcome in, Hawks fans. Your boy Bryce Lewis back at it again for another Believe in Hawks episode. The Atlanta Hawks, in a very hard-fought game today, falls to the Milwaukee Bucks 110-102 in the semifinals of the NBA Cup. One of the final four teams in this tournament to try to get to the finals of Las Vegas, but the Hawks come up a little bit short from that game. Obviously, we're going to break it down, give my thoughts and recap of the game. But like I said, overall, Hawks, like I said, that was the kind of game that if you are a basketball fan, I think you thoroughly would enjoy a game like that. So, really, proud of the team. But before we get into that, obviously, if it's the first time watching Believe in the Hawks podcast, hope you enjoy the pod. If you do, subscribe to the channel, like the video, of course. Leave a comment down below on any discussion points that we talk about, any opinions that you guys want to give. Want to hear from you guys all the time, always. Also, for all my audio listeners, subscribe, leave a review, leave a rating, expand, get people aware of Believe in Hawks and know that this is one of the best podcasts to talk about our Atlanta Hawks. So, obviously, like I said, guys, Hawks lose today 102-110 to the Bucks in a game where, this game was very, representative of almost like a playoff game. Extremely physical ball game. Defense, which I'll get into, the Hawks defense really impressed me today. Obviously, these are the types of games that you kind of look at and kind of say, okay, so this is where we are right now. And we got a clear sense for where the Hawks are right now and where they can improve and where they can get better. And, that is, the Hawks have only played what is the record now? They are 14-13, so they played 27 games. We still have plenty of games left for them to play in. And, there's plenty of time to grow and learn. And I think that's the biggest thing overall. So, first, talking about just the atmosphere of the game, I know a lot of people were talking about the fact that this was a generic, neutral site, that the crowd was a very casual crowd, which means it wasn't a very exciting crowd. I know a lot of people complain about that. Because you're seeing big plays happening, because there were a lot of big moments in this game that you would see either in Atlanta or in Milwaukee, the crowd going crazy. And we didn't really get that type of crowd reaction from the game. I know some people were not really happy about that. Some people wonder, is it worth doing these neutral site games if this is what you're going to do? This also maybe wasn't the greatest look for a Vegas team or Vegas city of Vegas, where, they're debating putting an NBA team. So obviously that, wasn't the best, obviously. And some people think it maybe took away from the game. But if you look at the on-court product overall, it was a really solid performance from both teams. And some people kind of said the NBA needed this type of game, from these teams, because, there's been so much dialogue and discussion this week about why ratings are down and the problems with the NBA game and things of that nature. But these are the types of games that we watch today that people really enjoy watching, and not that pace of play that you get in a lot of regular season games that some people have an issue with. And so overall, in that perspective, I think that went well. Obviously, Hawks did interviews yesterday, talked about a lot of things. You really saw the media attention that you get when you're in the Final Four of the NBA Cup. And, I'm really excited and happy that the guys got that experience. Now, getting into the game itself, the Hawks really, Hawks already beat Milwaukee once this year, right? But this was different. Like I said, the refs were calling this like a playoff game. A lot of physical, like this was a very physical game, extremely physical game. And you saw it. This type of game favored the Bucks because the Bucks are a bigger, more physical team. And so the Hawks had to work through that. And I think for the most part, the Hawks did a good job of matching their intensity, matching their physicality, and doing everything they could to just, stay in the game, stay competitive. For the most part, that this game really never got out of the hand for the Hawks. When the Bucks made a run, the Hawks made a run back to get it right back. And so the team really did a great job of weathering any runs the Bucks made and just staying competitive throughout the entire game. You got what you got from your stars tonight. Giannis did their thing, Lillard did his thing, and Trey did his thing. So from a stars perspective, you got that. Then this game really just came down to missed free throws for the Hawks. which they missed. They missed 12 free throws in this game. They went to the line. They had 34 free throw attempts. They missed 12. You hit 8 more of those. You go 30 for 34, and this is an overtime game at least, right? And so that was obviously a big story of the game. Because, and then also, I think some of the flaws of the offense really showed itself. It really kind of showed itself in this game. And, you saw it in a few performances from some of the guys. Dyson really didn't have the greatest offensive game. He shot 50% from the field, but he definitely was passing up shots. It didn't look always the prettiest with Dyson. He only got 6 from Capella, only got 2 from Richiche. Jalen, even though he played after the ankle injury, I don't feel like he was 100%, but like he was like probably 95. But like, that 5% when you're going into a physical ball game can make a difference on particular plays, depending. But I mean, there's no excuses for that. But obviously Jalen, had some looks, had a big shot late he missed that could have really helped turn the tide or at least keep the game within one possession for the Hawks. And it was just a game that you kind of, like I said, were able to kind of see this team and see where they are and where they want to be. But also on the other side, you saw the defense. The defense really shined today. They played really, really well today. And you saw what Trae Young talked about after the game, where he's like, defense is going to carry us if we get to the postseason. And there have been plays that we've seen where Trae, one play especially where Trae was on the other side of the court, ran all the way to the other side to cover I think an AJ Green 3-point shot. I mean, Trae showing the commitment on defense. Everybody committed to defense tonight, because and that's what made this game so great, is that this was just a grinded out, physical, who could just make more plays. And in these types of games, the little things mean more. They matter more. Those free throws mattered more. There's just, because it feels like you're so tight knit with a team. Whoever can just get a couple of baskets in a row and get some stops and get some separation, we're going to win this game. And the Bucks were able to do that against the Hawks. So, like I said, really, really good stuff there. But overall, like I said, with the offense, the biggest issues that we do about this Hawks offense is that shooting is not great. They shot 40+%, but they only took 24 threes. They only made 10. One thing that really stood out to me was Bogey. Bogey played well in the first half, had 10 points, didn't take any shots in the second half. That shocked me, because Bogey's usually looking for a shot. And I think this game was a product of Quinn Snyder knew what his plan was going to be. If Damian was in the game, Dyson was going to be in the game because of that matchup defensively, right? But I think the problem is with the size of Milwaukee, I feel like Quinn kind of was like, I don't think I can play Bogey that much, because I don't want Bogey. Like, there wasn't a great defensive matchup for Bogdanovich in this game, realistically, unless they had like AJ Green on the floor, right? And I think, they really should have, to me, looked for Bogdanovich more offensively, especially because he's your shooter. And he had a good first half. He was 2 or 3 from 3 and 4 or 7 from the field. And so I really think that really would have helped in this game. Bogey getting more looks. You needed his shooting. You needed his offense today. And so I think that's something they can look at, in the film. Like, okay, Bogey maybe had some looks. And I felt like as the game went on, I do feel like the Hawks passed up some shots at times. And I don't know if it was the moment. Because like I said, as much as people want to try to, make it seem like the NBA Cup's not important, you're playing for something. You're playing for the big lights. You're on national television. So this is still a big game for a lot of guys. So that was one thing that stood out. I think, like I said, this is where, like I said, Richiche struggling offensively, Clint not being a great offensive player, Dyson having his issues offensively really hurt you. Because, again, you rely so much on a guy like a DeAndre Hunter, a Jalen Johnson, a Bogey to kind of get that offense for you, right? I mean, Okongwu only played 19 minutes tonight because this really wasn't an Okongwu game. With the size of Brooklyn, which I'll get into, I think that – not Brooklyn, Milwaukee. that made things tough for the Hawks, and especially Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez really, I think, really disrupted this game for the Hawks offensively. His shot blocking really caused a lot of issues because the Hawks struggled to get clean shots off against him. And I think that led to some bad possessions. Or not even bad, they were in the paint, but like you got somebody who can swatch your shot, that makes it harder. Not only is the Bucks playing physical, then you got a rim protector. And so that makes it more difficult. And I think the Hawks struggled with Brook Lopez on the defensive end. And then obviously Brook was able to make some shots on the offense and a couple of threes as well. So I think that was really playing a big part in the offensive rhythm and why a lot of guys attack, because the Hawks really didn't do that great from the 2-point line. First half, they were not great from the 2-point line. They were not great shooting twos. And that's been something the Hawks have been great at all year, is they usually win the 2-point battle. It's just, can they overcome the 3-point battle and then make it up in other areas, free throws, turnover, fast break points, etc. And so in a game like this, the 2-point battle was not won by the Hawks. And I think that made things tough for them. So, I think taking a look at that, how can you create better shots? How can you maybe pack a guy like Brook Lopez? And again, that could be also because, again, you had to play Clint, because Clint defensively played a good game. He had like 4 block shots. He was a rim protector. He looked jumpy. He was making shots tough for Milwaukee at the rim, especially guarding Giannis and Dame. But I think you have to ask yourself, this is where you kind of wish the Hawks had a stretch big or a Kongu, even though he did hit a 3 in this game. Maybe this would be definitely a Kongu game in terms of he could maybe bring Brook out of the paint a little bit. And because they had to play Clint more, Brook could kind of sit in the paint. And now when the Hawks attacked, you got, like I said, you're already getting physical play from Giannis and Chris Middleton and Bobby Portis. And now you got like Lopez just waiting there to swatch your shot. So I think that was something the Hawks, just good experience for them to try to work through and learn from. As well. Obviously, like I said, the 3-point shot wasn't, even though it was fine percentage-wise, it didn't take a lot in this game. As I mentioned, Trae Young gave you 30 points in this game, 10 plus assists. He gave you that Trae Young game that you've been waiting for a while. Trae Young's been kind of trending in that direction, but this was really that game where he kind of came out a little bit more offensively aggressive. And it seems like Trae knew in a game like this, especially in these lights, he maybe has to carry, especially in the third quarters. Third quarters recently for Trae have been his quarters, where he kind of like is pass first in the first half, kind of takes his shots when he has them. But third quarter, depending on how the game is, he kind of goes out and becomes a little bit more aggressive. He's had some big third quarters. This third quarter he played against Milwaukee was probably one of the best third quarters he's played this season, honestly. I mean, he really single-handedly kept the Hawks in this game. Like, he had a big third quarter for the Hawks, and they needed every point they could get from him, because it was just that type of game where you needed Trae to give you offense. It was just like, I need this Trae. There's no ifs, ands, or buts right now. And so, and he basically played the entire second half outside of like 2-3 minutes because of how the game was going. And this, like I said, is kind of a preview of how the Hawks are probably going to do things in the postseason. Like, there's just times where your stars just have to play, because like that's when you can earn offense. And obviously it's always an adventure when Trae comes off the floor, because it's like, can the Hawks stay even? Can they win the non-Trae minutes? Things of that nature. And I think that, to me, is something that, like I said, we kind of got a glimpse into what they may do in these situations in the future, in the postseason, right? And so I think, like I said, there's definitely a lot of things here offensively the Hawks can improve for sure. And obviously, like I said, free throw shooting can obviously be better. Could definitely be better if you're the Hawks. So there's definitely things there that you can improve. And as I mentioned too, backup point guard is an adventure. You still have Vic Krejci in there. I know, like I said, people always ask about what is Kobe in the doghouse. Like I said, and I've made this assessment. I said the thing with Vic Krejci is he doesn't provide you much offense, but he does provide you decent playmaking. He's very passive with the ball, and he's a good defender. So you're getting those things, but you're not getting offense. Kobe can probably give you more offense, but his decision-making can be erratic at times. And he still provides you decent defense. Obviously, there are two different types of defenders. Kobe's more short and stout, where Vic Rickettsi's is just a longer, skinnier guy. So it's just, that can be different too. But I just think Quinn didn't like some of the decisions Kobe was making, especially because he was benched the last time they played the Bucks. He played that third quarter, and we never saw Kobe after he got rejected twice by Lopez. And I think he just felt like that Kobe was not making good decisions with the ball, and he just said, "That's it. We're going with Vic Krejci." Because Krejci wouldn't make that decision. Brook Lopez is in the paint. He's going to go for a pass. But then you could also make the argument that hurts the Hawks because Vic isn't aggressive offensively. And so you pretty much are getting no points from your ninth man a lot of the time. And so now it's your 8-man rotation where you got to get your offense. And so on and so forth. And I also think these are games where it's like I said, Richiche not giving you a lot of offense is not good. Like, you need Richiche to give you something in these games. Like, him having 2 points tonight was not great because you need something like from him. He's a starter. Obviously, he's not playing a crap ton of minutes. He played 17 tonight, but he only took 3 shots. Like I said, Dyson, this was one of the first games that you could be like, all right, his offense may have hurt the Hawks a little bit. He played better in the second half, but he missed some big shots. Like, he had to open 3. Like the shots they were making against New York, they weren't making against the Bucks. And so, like I said, there's a lot of things that if you're the Hawks, you'll beat yourself up about and say, we could have had this, we could have had that, we could have did this. But at the same time, you went toe-to-toe with the Bucks. You in their type of game, a physical game. And you felt, and that's why I think a lot of Hawks fans came out of the game saying, I think we could take the Bucks in 7. Like, this is definitely one of those games. If this was like a 7-game series and this was game 1, and this was like game 1, you definitely be like, I think we can get a game. Because literally the way the Bucks played are pretty much how the Bucks win games. Lillard leads the way, Giannis leads the way, Chris Middleton gives you some offense, and you hope to get enough for everybody else. Where the Hawks are like, if we can continue this level, I think in our offense is just better. We can steal something, steal some games from them. And so, I think you came out of that with that. But then also, if you think about the defense of the Hawks, that ultimately is what kept you in this game today. Like, the thing about this winning streak, the way they played, defense has been such a, and so many people have talked about it. Even the announcers talked about it today. The defense, just the fact they're able to play the defense they've played and make it very difficult. Like I said, sometimes your shot does not fall, and you can rely on your defense to keep you in the game until your shot starts falling again. And the Hawks now have the ability to play those types of games. The Hawks have pretty much been in grinded out games the last few games, where it's just they have to grind it out, and then you just got to get you around. I said in the game, too, I said the Hawks just need one good run, and they could never get that one good run against the Bucks this game. I just said if they can get one good run, the type of defense they're playing, they would be able to win that game. They just could never get it because the Bucks just, every time they got close, it just seemed like the Bucks would always make a shot, and it just keep the Hawks at bay. And and that's just part of it. It's part of high level basketball. That's what high level basketball is. Just it feels like a razor thin margin of error. But overall, the defense was great. The defense was good enough. Like you look at the defensive rating, you look at all that per possessions. The defense was good enough tonight against the Bucks. It was good enough to beat the Bucks. Bucks only scored 110, and some of that was also some garbage time free throws. So the Hawks realistically held the Bucks to a pretty good percentage that you want defensively. And like I said, the fact that they now have the ability to play that type of way and to be in these grinded out games. And as I mentioned, Trae Young said defense is going to take us far. Defense is going to be what gets us to that next level, especially in the postseason, where they always say defense wins championships, and it's such an offensive league. You know what I'm saying? So, and this is what exactly Trae said. He said the defensive end is going to get us to where we really want to go, especially where I want to go. I want to go far in the playoffs. And then Trae Young later in the same answer, I've been so focused on the defensive end and focused on that part because I know it's going to carry us where we really need to know. Where we really need to go. And so, I mean, Trae Young knows like the defense they played tonight, if they can just get better offense, they can win some games and they can make some noise in the postseason. And so I think from this point, really, if you're the Hawks, you're becoming more of a defensive identity. And Quinn talked about it during this process. Is that he said we're still building an identity, we're still building something here, and really now that you're done with the cup, and you don't play again until Thursday against the Spurs, so you get plenty of days to get rest. Jalen should be 100%, if not already, and everybody should be good to go. Right? You should still be full strength. You play the Spurs, right? This is where you build. You've had this experience in the cup. This is where you say, okay, we really need to lock in as much as we can game by game and just build on this. Build on this experience. Build on this. Because, listen, you're not going to play in another game that you just played in like this. Like, there's going to be some physical games you play in, but you're not going to play in a game when you just played against the Bucks in the cup until the playoffs. You're not going to get that type of officiating until you get to the postseason again. But you've experienced it, and you can learn from it, and you can grow from it now if you're the Hawks. Those young players have gotten a taste. Jalen has gotten a taste. Ricochet has gotten a taste. Dyson has gotten a taste. If they can learn, and so the next time they're ever in that situation, like they know how to handle it better. I mean, listen, you still play the Bucks a couple of times this year, so the season series right now is 1-1. This for the Hawks is going to be a very big time for them to really build on this experience and continue this momentum moving forward. You're only still a game over 500. So you're still around that 500 range. So by no stretch of the imagination are you like running away with the season and now extending yourself towards this like a mega, record right now. But if we take a look at who the Hawks have, because Bob said we have a challenging homestand coming up. You play San Antonio, good team. Memphis, they're 18-8. That's a really good team from the Western Conference. You played Minnesota, good team. Obviously, Chicago's been kryptonite for you. That's a tough game. Heat, the first one against them, that's always a tough game. And then you get Raptors where you play on New Year's Day, Denver and Denver. So the Hawks have some very interesting games, but winnable games coming up for them. And they just have to continue to build off this experience and build off what they did in the NBA Cup. And like I said, grow from it. And so, I'm overall not discouraged by what I've seen from this team. I'm proud of this team. I'm proud of the way they performed. And, like I said, all you can do is just work through it. That's why when I say that the Bucks got a whistle that favored them, I wasn't talking about free throws because the Hawks got 34 attempts. I was just saying like the Bucks are a big physical team. So like any physical game is how they're going to want to be. They're going to want to make it ugly. And so the Hawks now have played in and they've played some ugly games, but like they're playing in this was like a physical ugly game. And so now you can learn. And the Hawks offense this season has been up and down. It's been a journey at times offensively where they'll play really good stretches of offense and then they have some struggling stretches of offense. And that's just a consistency they have to get. DeAndre Hunter, 15 points, but I mean, you're so used to getting 20, and we're undefeated when he scores 20 from him. Bogey, like I said, didn't take any shots in the second half. There's a lot of things that, like I said, you look at this game and said, this could have been better. We could have had this, and this maybe would have changed the outcome of the game. So Quinn, obviously you get plenty of time to get back to Atlanta. Look at film. You don't play until Thursday, so you probably can actually get some practices in too, which I think they are. Are they going to San Antonio? They are going to San Antonio, so you probably get. I mean, I'm assuming they flew back today. Get back Sunday, rest up, maybe look at some film. I wouldn't be surprised if he let Sunday be a rest day. Monday, you get back, watch film, have a practice. Tuesday, maybe if there's some stuff you want to work on, run some stuff, you do that Tuesday. Then Wednesday, you probably can travel to San Antonio and get ready for your Thursday game against them. And then you just kind of go from there. Obviously, that's a different challenge. You got Wemby. That's a different challenge for the Hawks. We'll see how they look. The Spurs look good this year. They're a better team this year. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. Like I said, because the Hawks have some good teams coming up. So if they can continue to go through these next few games and still come out with a winning record, I think that'd be really impressive for this young team that's growing before our eyes. And then I'm also curious that since Trae Young had the game he had today, is he able to continue to build off that, continue to play the way he's played? Because, like I said, there's just going to be games where Trae has to be Trae, but also building up all those playmakers. Jalen Johnson, you expect him to bounce back. Dyson Daniels, we got to see his offensive confidence has been up and down. I think since Trae, got back in the lineup. So from a quick absence, you know what you're getting from Hunter, aggressive guy. He attacks the rim, Bogey as well. You expect him, to continue to shoot the ball. Obviously, you don't expect Bogey, like I said, not to take a shot in the second half. And you continue to rely on your defense. You continue to expect your defense to continue to improve, continue to keep you in games, and be the reason why you win games. And like I said, establishing the identity. I always say the regular season is a time where you establish an identity and a culture. And regardless of whatever happens in a game, this is who you are. That's what the Bucks have. That's what the Heat have. That's why I always say the Heat make these runs, because at the end of the day, through all the issues, they know we can grind it out and make this an ugly game, and that will give us a chance. And we got some guys who can make some plays and get us over the hump. And now the Hawks are getting to that point. So overall, I mean, I think this, like I said, good experience for these guys, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else in the rest of the season has to offer to us and what happens with our Hawks. So really excited to kind of see what is to come with this Atlanta Hawks team. But obviously, guys, if you have any thoughts on the NBA Cup, how they played, any things that you saw, definitely leave them down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this Believe in Hawks episode, subscribe to the channel, like the video for sure, show some love to your boy. Audio listeners, same thing for you guys. And also follow me on Twitter, Bricey_2K, BRICEY_2K for all Hawks takes and events. Like I said, the Hawks don't play for a while, so we'll see what happens. I might get a pod up randomly just to talk about some stuff, but just so it's not too long between content, but we'll see how it goes. But overall, guys, like I said, Hawks lost tonight to the Bucks in the semifinals NBA Cup. Hard-fought game, competitive game, great game if you're a basketball fan. And like to get ready for the Spurs on Thursday, and we'll rock out, man. We'll rock out for that game. So it's your boy Bryce Lewis. See you next time.